My name is Chris. I'm the interim vice president of Chapter 61 for Veterans for Peace, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming to our press conference in regards to Mr. Robert Suberi, who was on a humanitarian mission on the Freedom Flotilla vessel Handala, which was intercepted, seized, and boarded yesterday in international waters, and Bob Suberi and the entire crew was abducted and illegally taken to Israel. Mr. Suberi is a longtime Palestinian advocate. He routinely travels to Palestine and does protective presence work. He's a member of many local organizations such as Veterans for Peace, Green Party, Jewish Voices for Peace, and so we have representatives from each of those organizations that he's a member of to give a statement today. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Brian Carson, who is going to place a couple of short messages from Bob Suberi. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you for braving the heat. Let me hear you say, free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
So yesterday, 21 crew members of the humanitarian aid vessel Handala were abducted in international waters by Israeli military. This includes Bob Suberi, a 77-year-old Jewish Palestinian St. Louis American, a veteran and president of our local Veterans for Peace Chapter 61. He recorded this message prior to his abduction, and as of now, all 21 members of the crew are on hunger strike. So please stand by for a second while I play this message from Bob.
My name is Bob Suberi. I'm a recovering Zionist. I'm a U.S. and Israeli citizen. I'm using my voice as a U.S. veteran. I've been working with Palestinian advocacy, mainly doing protective presence in the West Bank and the South Yatta for probably the last 5-6 years. This is my third year on the Handala. Gaza is blockaded by land, air, and sea. It's against international law. There's thousands of trucks lined up outside of Gaza that are not allowed to enter, and we are performing our duty as citizens of the world to challenge this blockade. I'm not even sure my family knows that I'm on Handala. They probably find out. And I hope they will see through what's happening. Not only are they erasing the lives of Palestinians, they're erasing their culture very deliberately, but it's also being done by people that are not religious, and they're using my religion to justify the genocide they're participating in. I grew up in a Zionist family, and it took me 58 years even to question it. Eventually, it led me to taking a delegation into the West Bank. I have seen settlers in the West Bank justify the theft of Palestinian land by celebrating different holidays and encroaching on Palestinian land, claiming it thusly and not moving out. To the Jewish community, Jews all over, including my family, let's talk openly about a genocide. We have spent decades saying never again, and yet we're perpetuating it, and we've justified it. They dominate the narrative opposing Trump, immigration rights, women's rights, healthcare for all. They will not talk about what's happening to Palestinians. That's really the community I would like to try to reach. Let's talk about that. Come and see, come and meet the Palestinians that live so close to you. I feel that I must be here at this moment.
Thank you all, thank you all. So, he recorded this message prior to his abduction, and as of now, all 21 are on hunger strike, like I said. As veterans, we know what it's like to be called forward. Bob was called to stand with the Handala and guide critical humanitarian aid to the starving children of Gaza. I'm asking that all veterans stand with Bob and call the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv and demand their immediate release. I'm also asking that you call your alderperson, your city council member, your district representatives, your congressperson, and demand that they make a statement condemning their abduction and the war crime of using starvation as a weapon against the people of Palestine. In short, starving children doesn't make anyone safer. From Ferguson to Palestine, starvation is a crime. Break the siege and free, free Palestine.
Yeah. Woo.
Thank you. That was Brian, and he's our media director today for Chapter 61. Our next speaker has a very personal stake in this. This is Mrs. Barbara Suberi, Robert Suberi's wife. Miss Suberi.
I have a bit of a difficult time remaining unemotional. So if I get weird and my voice gets wavering, bear with me, please. My name is Barbara Suberi, and my husband Bob, along with 20 other activists from several different countries, attempted to sail to Gaza on the SS Handala. To those of you who are not familiar with Handala, it's a cartoon character that was developed by a Palestinian man who was, actually a boy, who was kicked out when he was like 10 years old. It's an image of a young Palestinian refugee, tattered and back-turned, refusing to grow up until he can return to his homeland. He's a symbol of defiance and captures the plight of the children, especially right now in Gaza. It's interesting too because the boat was renamed Handala by the committee, by the Freedom Flotilla committee. Its original name was Navarin, when it's a Norwegian fishing boat, and Israeli refuses to call it by the name Handala for obvious reasons. Okay. The mission of the sailing ship Handala was to bring hope and humanitarian aid to the starving and embattled Palestinian families who are being held prisoner in their own land. The crew are dedicated to their cause, well-trained, and were fully prepared for arrest by Israeli forces. They all pledged they would go on a hunger strike when and if the ship was intercepted. We all know it has been intercepted, and they all went on a hunger strike. It has begun. They refused to accept food from the Israeli occupying power, who are using starvation as a weapon to erase the people and culture of Palestine. I call that amazing solidarity. So you can do your part today to safeguard the crew by contacting the United States Department of State Operations Center. I believe somebody's walking around with little flyers that has their phone number. And the U.S. Embassy in Israel. It's a frustrating experience. They answer, they don't answer, they know about it, they don't know about it. I think it depends on what they want, what they feel like doing then. But tell them that the Handala carries unarmed U.S. citizens, humanitarian cargo, and life-saving aid for the people of Gaza. Hell, it was baby formula. They were no threat to the security, in big quotes, of Israel. And the ship was 100% compliant with all humanitarian, human rights, and maritime law. Thank you all for coming. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Thank you very much, Barbara. Our next speaker that will give a statement official statement on behalf of Chapter 61 is our interim president, Mr. Tom Abler.
All right, so I must confess to you that I've been struggling mightily with how to bring peace to this crazy, unhinged world we now find ourselves in. My decades-long search led me to join Veterans for Peace to use a vehicle to help bring about the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. Just last night, I agonized over what I'm going to say today, and I had two distinct tracks I was running through in my head and soul. One is to appeal to a man-made document that everyone who makes laws our works. Is this thing coming through here? One is to appeal to a man-made document, the Constitution, that everyone who makes laws or works for in law enforcement swears to uphold and to serve. To serve being the key word, and to protect the rights of all people. All we need to do is look at the abyss that is Gaza to see how far away from that noble goal we've come. My second track is to address something more insidious and deeply rooted in our common experience, and it is how we deal with our collective trauma. How do we bring about a more beautiful world our hearts desire and know is possible? It is something everyone in this country, in Israeli society, Palestinian society, and the world in general is dealing with. The trauma in our families, our workplaces, our community, our state, our country, and our world. I believe this all centers around the issue of separation. We think we are alone in trauma. There is good news, though. We are living in a very tumultuous times and very exciting times. It seems that religion and science are no longer mutually exclusive. They are both pointing to the oneness of all life on Earth, and science wants to prove the oneness of the entire universe. It is said by Bill Mollison, founder of permaculture, that even though the problems of the world seem increasingly complex, the answers are embarrassingly simple. I believe there are people everywhere, including here today, who know what those simple answers are and how do we get there. To get to the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, we need to do the work of healing the trauma that keeps us in this vicious cycle of violence. We cannot expect anything but a harvest of poison plants when we sow poison seeds. People are tired of war, propaganda, scarcity, anger, fear, and the separation and isolation it creates everywhere. Let us each hear each other. Let us heal our trauma and recognize our oneness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tom. If anybody is interested in learning more about the Freedom Flotilla and how it operates, I encourage you to go to freedomflotilla.org, where you can learn more about the Freedom Flotilla Coalition and the other 20 members of the Handala. They have a lot of good articles and a lot of good videos there that you can learn more about it. Our next speaker is going to be Miss Lauren Filla. She's a member of the Green Party and a personal friend of Mr. Bob Suberi and Barbara Suberi.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
My name is Lauren. I'm a member of the Missouri Green Party, as is Bob Suberi, one of the 21 crew members of the humanitarian vessel, the Handala, which was illegally intercepted on international waters by the IOF and were kidnapped while attempting to break the siege on Gaza simply for providing food, medical supplies, and other humanitarian aid. I was asked to speak about Bob, but if I know Bob at all, I believe Bob would want me to speak about the resilience of the Palestinian people, the bravery of the Palestinian people, and the unrelenting kindness and generosity of the Palestinian people. People that Bob would talk about if their home was destroyed by the Israeli occupying forces backed by the United States, their community members would take them in just like their own family. When children were orphaned by their families being murdered by the IOF backed by the United States, they would be taken in by community members and loved like their own. These are unbelievably powerful people fighting for their righteous liberation. Bob and the crew members of the Handala have been on a hunger strike since their capture and in solidarity with the people of Gaza. I believe Bob would want me to use this opportunity to draw as much awareness as possible to the starvation being inflicted on Gaza by Israel, backed by the United States. And there are photos of that here that we hope to get out as widely as possible. And I believe Bob would not only want us to ask people to call
call the U.S. Department of Operations and the embassy to ask for the occupying forces to release the remaining Americans, but also to use this time to take every action humanly possible to break the siege on Gaza, to raise our voices louder, to escalate our actions, to get food and supplies into Gaza, to stop the shipment of weapons to Israel, and to end the colonial occupation. Let us use Bob's material solidarity with Palestine on the flotilla. Let that be an example to all of us. Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Thank you, Lauren. Our last speaker is a very amazing activist. I haven't known him too terribly long, but I've been impressed with him ever since I have met him. He's an amazing speaker, also an amazing writer. I've read many of his articles in several publications. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the representative for Jewish Voices for Peace, Mr. Michael Berg.
Thank you, Chris. I'm here representing Jewish Voice for Peace. My name is Michael Berg, and just want to point out what should be obvious, that Bob Suberi is a great and a brave man, along with all this crew. We're honored to know him, and also point out that they are just doing what we all should do in the face of this horror. This is not a typical issue. This is not about like whether taxes should be higher or lower. This is a genocide we're dealing with. And I want to give a little bit of background. I'm Jewish. I was bar mitzvahed on Masada in 1987 when I was 13. I went back to, I actually had the experience, entered Israel, left Palestine. I came there with an open mind in 1999, just talked to everybody, went to everywhere, through Gaza, through the West Bank, all through Israel. And I've never seen more naked racism anywhere in my life than the state of Israel. It's not subtle. Anybody who talks about complexity or nuance or, well, there's these two right stories. It's not true. This is an oppressive colonial regime that treats its native Palestinian people like dirt, and now is literally treating them as fodder to be murdered and starved to death. It's not a religious dispute. It's a dispute of Jewish Zionists who have hijacked the idea of Judaism to create a colonial state that continues to try to grow. This genocide did not begin. All of a sudden, you've got all these people who are worried. I mean, this is the most horrible phase we've got now, but like in October 2023, Holocaust scholars were already saying this is genocide. The leadership of Israel was literally saying we are going to slaughter everybody. Benjamin Netanyahu compared the people of Gaza to Amalek and said we must smite them all in mid-October 2023, and then they were bombing everything. And while this was going on, you had a tiny number of brave politicians like Cori Bush saying they are going to do genocide if we don't stop anything. We must stop it. And in response to this, you had the totality of the St. Louis Jewish establishment leadership and organizations wrongly and viciously smear her as an anti-Semite, which he never has been or never was. She just cares about human rights and human cost. And everybody who did this, and it wasn't just Jewish organizations, you had a bulk of Democratic leaders and pretty much the totality of the Republican Party just making up lies and pretending this wasn't going on. Everybody who did it, these Jewish establishment leaders, these politicians who pretended it wasn't going on, who did the pylon, they are all complicit.
Shame!
To say now, oh my God, everybody's starving to death. They're complicit. You did this. You who didn't stand up, you who attacked students and pushed them out and made sure they did not get a diploma and made them suspended and were fined with cops beating them and putting them in jail when they said, please, we do not want this blood on our hand, and smearing them as racist when they were anti-racist and trying to save lives. It is shameful. We are at this situation. And yes, it's never too late to turn around, but when you turn around, acknowledge your past harms. Acknowledge what you did and say sorry. Say sorry to Cori Bush. Say sorry to all your students. Say, I was wrong. Say sorry to the Palestinian people who are now being starved to death because you would not stand up for them. Because you blamed the people trying to save their lives. And now you're saying, oh, whoa, there's the starvation. Okay, admit you were wrong. We have to change the system. We cannot have this pattern. Do not support politicians who will support the state of Israel. To make amends, these organizations, these Jewish organizations, Christian Zionist organizations, need to cut ties with organizations like AIPAC, with the ADL, with the Jewish Federation, until they change their ways. You also have the press, including all the TV stations here, who all have covered this issue from just an appallingly biased way. Every time an Israeli would die, there was a massive news story. Meanwhile, you had hundreds, thousands of Palestinians dying, starving to death for 2 years, and it was never an interest. It didn't matter. Until
Shame!
now. It's shameful. So that's what happened. That cannot be changed. Let's change it in the future. Stop doing this. Stop supporting Israel. Stop supporting this government. Break the ties with this government. Support boycotts, divestment, sanctions. Support pushing the Israel Chemical Limited out of the city. Stop all the arms manufacturing that Boeing is doing that is being used in this. If Boeing wants to make commercial airplanes, that's one thing. That's not what all they're doing. They're also actively complicit in this genocide. I don't think people quite understand how bad this is and when it began. It began at least 2 years ago. Maybe it began when this extremist government, basically exactly the people who actually killed Rabin, are the people running the government. They took power in December 2022, and in reality, the siege of Gaza began in 2007. People have been made hungry since then, and this oppression began in 1948, when the first genocide against the Palestinian people happened, the Nakba in 1948. This is a long time coming. This was predictable. We've been screaming, stop this, stop this, stop this. Bob has been screaming, stop this, stop this. Bob has been putting his body and his soul on the line for years, and he's got to be commended. And we have to do better. We have to free Palestine and end this oppressive state and create something better where everybody has justice, everybody has liberty, not just one ethnic group.
Thank you so much, Michael Berg. So as we wrap this up, I just want to leave this with everybody. This is, as Mike said, it started in 48. I believe it started even further back than that, with Theodore Herzl and the whole concept, the racist colonial concept of Zionism. It's been here for over 100 years at least, and it's only gotten progressively worse. So Bob is an amazing activist, an amazing man. I'm very proud to have known him for the short time that I have known him. And honestly, I try to emulate him as much as possible. The only thing that I can't do right now is travel like him, but inshallah, hopefully I will soon follow in his footsteps this fall and help him do some protective presence in the West Bank. Not all of us can do that, I understand that, but we all have a voice. We all have a voice. We have to speak out against this injustice. Our tax money is paying to starve infants.
Shame!
Under Trump's big, beautiful bill, $75 billion has been allocated to hiring, training, equipping, and arming ICE agents.
Shame!
That money could be spent better on the people who actually need it. They routinely send $4 billion plus to Israel. They spend billions of dollars to those Arab countries that support Israel. We are paying for this. We're paying for this genocide. We're paying for this occupation. So call your representatives, choose your voice, write letters, send emails, go to their houses and just bang pots and pans and scream at the top of your lungs. But we have to do something about this because they won't. As everyone knows, they're all in the pocket of IPAC. They're all bought and paid for. We got to get them out of there. Anybody who's pro-Israel, pro-IPAC, we got to get them the hell out of there. Yeah. I made a prediction last year that if we didn't stop what's going on in Gaza, we would see that come here. And what do we see? We see these green uniformed masked gunmen riding through our neighborhoods in armored vehicles, kidnapping people. That's what they do. That's what they do in Palestine. They arrest people for no reason. That's what they do in Palestine. They assault people for no reason. That's what they do in Palestine. It's coming here, folks. We got to stand up against this. So I don't want to be too long-winded, but never ever forget about Palestine. Never ever forget about Gaza. Never ever forget about what Israel and our government has been doing to these people. So thank you so very much for being here. Please make sure that you call the numbers that are listed and demand Bob Suberi's release, demand the release of the crew of the Handala. Thank you so very much. Keep fighting. Remember Palestine, never forget Palestine. Free, free Palestine!